Good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Fire Caves, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Perry.
And I'm your host, David. Tonight we're talking about Season 7, Episode 19, Strange Bedfellows. Before we continue, you can find us on Facebook, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and YouTube as The Fire Caves, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast.
That is correct. And as I say every single week, you should find us and follow us because we are great. We are awesome. We're a good time. And we're coming to an end of our show. We're going to have to really start stretching things out a bit. We're on episode 19 of I believe this is a 24, maybe 25 episode season. So very, very close to the end of our run here. So, if you're just tuning in, you've got a lot to get caught up on. And for those of you who've been with us for a while, thank you very much. And I apologize for the endless or never ending number of delays it seems that we have when getting the podcast version of our show out. We are still trying. So don't worry, it's coming. I'm not giving up until it's all there. Okay. So, as David said, we are talking about the episode Strange Bedfellows. We're going to get into that, of course. But before we do all that, I'd love to give us a chance to do a weekly check in. So, David, how has your last week been?
Week's been fine. Work is still good in terms of people coming in, though we've actually moved on to the next phase, which is kind of the last phase, like kind of a limbo of last phase where, you sell off your floor models, you get rid of everything you have. We've started on some of that, not on everything, but on a number of those beds. Um, that means that we still have at least a month or so left. It's curious to see how that's going to work. Um, in the meantime, I did have an interesting job interview last Tuesday. We'll see if that works out. I have another part two tomorrow, so we'll see what goes on there. So that's exciting. This week I read Pride and Prejudice. I haven't. I had read Sense and Sensibility a couple of years ago. I might have mentioned it here on the podcast. I can't remember if it was. I think it was here on the podcast. We were still doing the podcast. So I read that. Pride and Prejudice is the BBC 6-part miniseries. So something my mom loved to watch when I was a kid. So I know the story pretty well. Decided to check in with my
Is
feminine side a little bit to read the story. It's a fun one.
I've never read that book, but I need to ask because I saw something and I want to make sure it's the right thing.
Mhm.
Is this the book where there's like a couple of people obviously they're like in love with each other, like a really involved love triangle, and are they writing letters to each other at any point? Is there a letter
No,
exchange?
no. One of Jane Austen's books is about. It's written in the style of letters being written back and forth, but that's not this one. No, this is the one about Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. The story is basically she thinks that Mr. Darcy is a proud jerk. Basically, she doesn't like him during the first half of the story, but then she learns that he's actually a nice guy, and she falls in love with him. And um, so it's a hate to love story.
Oh,
Start as hating, she hates him, falls in love with him. He's in love with her the whole time, but basically he's awkward and he's off putting early the first couple times she meets him, and so she's
mhm.
offended by his arrogance and he basically puts her down in public the first time he ever meets her, and she takes it very personally, which makes sense, and holds it as a grudge against him until she finds out that he's actually been in love with her the whole time, and like he was just being super shy and awkward and yeah, rude the first time he met her, but he makes amends over time, which is a fun little love story. Um, so
I was
yeah.
just curious because there was a advertisement for a book along those lines, and apparently there are letters that the characters exchange with each other at different points in the story. And so there was the advertisement was that somebody had taken the story and had reformatted it and broke it down so that at those particular intervals, when you got to that section of the book, there was a legit letter in there. Somebody had turned it into a letter for you to open and read yourself
Oh,
to kind of like help you be immersed in the story. And I thought it was a clever idea and a great gift for someone who like really maybe enjoyed that story and would like a new kind of twist on reading something that they obviously had already read before.
Hmm.
I couldn't remember the name of the book, and so when you brought it up, it struck me because I believe it's in that vein. I don't even know if it's the same author or not. I'll have to look again and find it. But I thought that that was an interesting way to kind of get your readers into the story. Was that at certain points you'll be reading the letter that they're talking about in
Right.
where you get to read the letter yourself. And I was just like, oh, but yeah, I can't remember what book that was. So
Well, one of her books, and I'll just be quick, but one of her books, apparently I think it's the first one she wrote, but it may not have been published in her lifetime. The whole idea, I think it's Persuasion. Um, I haven't read that one yet. I have a collection of her 7 novels, and one of them apparently like her first attempt at writing is written as a back and forth of letters the whole time. But she came across a problem at the end where she needed to write an epilogue. So the epilogue is not it's not a letter. Suddenly there's an epilogue at the end or something like that. But anyway, yeah. So the most fun thing about reading those books from old timey England is their language, the way they were so flowery and the way they spoke. They were always understating everything. It's just so much fun to read, and I know the original BBC show so well that I can follow the plot without too much trouble.
mhm.
So if I read any more of her books, any more of the novels, I'll actually be more. Oh, I don't know this story. It'll be the
Out
first
of your
time.
depth a bit.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So how about you?
Well,
What's to do with you?
well, kind of along the same vein. You know how much I love to go back and watch, old shows or old in quotation marks here, because I mean it's typically things from like the late '80s, early '90s, and so forth. Well, I have found another one,
Oh
and
boy.
I started watching it today, and let me tell you, it's been a treat. It has been an absolute delight. It's none other than MacGyver, the
Oh,
original MacGyver.
nice.
So, for those of you who know the show, Stargate SG-1, of course, you are familiar with Richard Dean Anderson. What you may not be familiar with is the fact that he starred for a very long time as the title character MacGyver in said show. And basically, the show is all about how this guy is basically a genius, but he has this way of kind of like um, making very simple yet effective solutions to get out of whatever the situation is that he's in.
Wow.
Now, I think over time, the term even MacGyver has kind of become like just like a trope used on how you can have an overly complicated problem that you solve with an overly simplistic solution. In going back and watching the show, I recognized that a lot of what I thought the show was going to be about, it's not that. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of him kind of like grabbing things and, putting it together in an odd way that we would have never considered ourselves. But it's not taking a paper clip and a bungee cord and turning it into a bazooka or any of that like it's been exaggerated to be. There is a lot of like,
The SNL skits of not MacGyver,
yeah,
MacGruber are
MacGruber, right.
yeah.
I mean, so there's just a lot of like that you kind of go into it expecting, but then there's just this other aspect of it that is, I guess, a bit more. I'm gonna say realistic, but even then, for TV at that time, there's a lot that they definitely stretch. And I was watching an episode. Actually, it was the pilot episode, and he has to scale this rock face, and he's going up there because an experimental plane has crashed at the very top of it, and it's being guarded by, I guess, our then scary enemies, the Chinese. Um, and there's a not only is it an experimental plane, but there's an experimental missile that's up there, and his job is to um, sabotage the missile so that they can't get the secrets from it. He gets up there, he recognizes that they've actually captured the pilot alive. And so now it's turned from a destroy mission into a rescue mission. He helps the pilot get free from the makeshift bamboo cave or cage that they put him in, because even at the top of a mountain, the Chinese people are still going to put people in a bamboo cage, whatever.
Okay.
So he gets the guy free. and now they're trying to run, but of course they're on top of a cliff face. There's not much surface area for them to go or hide. So he takes the flare gun that he found in the crashed plane. He hammers down the side of it so that it goes from like the narrow from the cone to now it's like a narrow like triangle shape, so that when he fires it, it effectively turns it into a rocket that blasts them off of the cliff face and allows them to clear enough distance that the Chinese guns can't shoot them and kill them while they fall through the air. And then of course he has the parachute on that he can, catch them and glide them down to safety. So, I mean, there's stuff like that, and then there's an episode where he has to disable a nuclear reactor, and there's all kinds of stuff, but it's 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 oddly charming, and watching them have to deal with technology like everybody has a corded phone, and like at one point they're talking and they're like across the room with the corded phone, or he has built a robot arm to make him breakfast, but of course it doesn't work. So it's like unnecessary technology in places. One of the bosses has a radio phone in the briefcase, so you got to open it up,
Yeah.
and it's all the buttons and
Yeah.
lights and the whatever, and he's pulling it out, and it's still a corded phone though, but it's portable 'cause it's in the briefcase. um the clothing style, like everybody's in bomber jackets for some reason. Like that's how you know that they're
The
the
cool
ones that
ones.
don't take, yeah, they're the cool ones, they don't take it too seriously. And then the nerdy uptight ones, they're all in three-piece suits, like every single one of them, three-piece suits to the nines,
Right.
the cars, like everything about it is just so nostalgic. And then there was even an episode where he had to escape from East Berlin. I was like, oh yeah, there was an East Berlin and West Berlin, like completely forgotten about all of
Yeah.
that stuff. And I was like, yeah, man. And like they're showing the bridge across the river that separated East and West Berlin, and they're showing like parts of the wall and stuff. And at one point, he had to like kind of like tunnel underneath, and I was just like, this, it's like a study in history, man. So I've
Yeah.
been really enjoying it. Not to mention some familiar faces have popped up in the show. Nana visitor Colonel Kira was in
Oh.
an episode
Was
already.
this was the show before Deep Space Nine, so she must have
Long
been,
before, long
yeah.
before.
So she was, well, how
Yeah.
young was she then?
Oh, she was young. She was young. She's if I had to guess, I'd probably say she's mid-20s, maybe.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, this is long before this is, and it was like an early episode in the show. So like it would have been like in the 80s. Because it was in like the first season or whatever. So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, so she's been doing stuff for, well, I mean, it would have been that she would have been that young, because I mean D Space Nine started in 94, and this would have been in
It says
80.
1985, the original
Yeah, I was gonna say
series.
85, 85, 86. So
Yeah.
yeah, so 10 years. Yeah, so yeah, I guess yeah, 24 would be right then, 24, 25. Because I
Wow.
believe she was in her 30s when she started Deep Space Nine. So yeah, she would have been in her 20s.
Wow.
But
That's
yeah, I
pretty
mean it's
mad
been great
success
to
then.
watch. Yeah, it's been great to watch. It's great to like hear the vernacular stuff and watching, even like the acting styles have changed. And I was watching a couple scenes and just being like, this scene right here would be so much more dramatic these days. Like there would be like one of the guys gets shot, and it was a gut shot. And right now, that would have been a very graphic something. We would have instantly known, oh, he's dead. That's a fatal blow, whatever. This one, man, kept on moving, kept doing stuff, and we didn't finally know he had been shot until he was like sitting down, and you could see a little bit of whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many things that were just different. And so yeah, if you ever just like, I don't know if anybody would, but you just get curious about how things were done then, even the filming and everything else. It's so interesting to go back and watch those shows and see how they do stuff compared to how we do them now, because it wouldn't
Right.
work. And then even thinking about it, I watched a couple episodes of the new MacGyver to kind of be like, because I was like, why wouldn't this show work as a reboot?
Uh huh.
and then watching the new episodes of the new MacGyver, it's like it's almost instant. You can't help yourself but pick out why this doesn't work anymore. Like they try to overly complicate everything right away. The folksy charm of the main character is non-existent.
Uh,
They tried to, sexify the show too much already.
mm,
The guy, he's highly stylized. He's got the hot female assistant
totally.
whatever that's very flashy and showy and so forth, and so you're kind of distracted because there's this weird sexual tension that's running through everything else that they're doing, instead of in the original where it was about the situation itself and, oh, how's Matt gonna get out of it this time. That was the focus.
Hmm.
Versus this, everybody has a interpersonal development trauma, something. You work here now because you're PTSD'd from whatever war, conflict, nonsense, blah blah blah, or you're just all that kind of stuff. And I just, it became overwhelming quickly, and you lose the plot of the show in the new one, and I think that's why it doesn't work like the old one. So if you
Right.
ever just, again, put it on, it's on Paramount Plus, so you can watch it at your leisure. It ran for like, was it? I think,
7 seasons,
yeah,
according to
it
Wikipedia.
ran for quite a while. So,
Yep.
which again, 7 seasons, 24 episodes a season. It was a lot back then. So, yeah, go check it out. And then after he did this show, he went right into um, Stargate. So, I mean, Richard Dean Anderson has been on TV for quite a while, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, no wonder he was tired at the end of the eighth season of Stargate. But we're not here
Yeah.
to talk about all that. We are here to talk about Star Trek, Star Trek
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine,
Yeah.
and some of our favorite characters. And um, do you want me to give the recap on this one? You look a little.
Sure, if you want to.
You all right?
I'm fine. Yeah. No, I'm
I will.
fine. Go for it.
I will take it.
Yeah.
You did it last week anyway, so it's okay. I'll take this. So this is a continuation of our story. Now, just to remind you, we are no longer doing two-parters. They've already decided that every episode for these last 10 all run into each other. They all mean something, okay? So as we know, in the last episode, Worf and Esri were being held prisoner. They are now being held prisoner by Weyoun and the Cardassians, because we now find out in this episode that the Founders and the Dominion have entered into an alliance with the Breen. This is something that has been kept from the Cardassian allies, and now Leggett Damar is finding out what's going on. He's also seeing that a lot of the troop support and other machinations that used to be thrown at the Cardassians are now not there. They're not having the same kind of backup for the Dominion that they used to, and the Cardassians are having a lot of losses, a lot of casualties. Um, so we have a lot of different storylines going on. So I'm going to explain this episode a little bit differently, keeping with the Cardassian, Breen, and uh, Dominion
Mhm.
aspect here. We see that the founder female is still deteriorating. Whatever is wrong with her, they have not found a cure for yet. Now, she still seems to be able to at least kind of like summon her strength when she wants to and
Mhm.
present herself as healthy, which she does when she goes to meet with the leader of the Breen people
Mhm.
before signing the alliance treaty between them. We meet the Breen's leader, a guy named Thoughtgore, which at one point I believe they say that Thought is a rank like Leggett is for the Cardassians. So I guess his name is really Gore and his rank is Thought, which hilarious considering how that term has come to,
That word means something else
yeah, it
now.
means something entirely different to us these days. But we're not going to get into all that right now. Just know his name is Thoughtgore. Now, the Breen are in these, kind of like hazmat suits. They've got these giant helmets on. No one knows what the Breen look like underneath the helmet. And when they speak, it's this very, heavily garbled, mechanical, electronic sounding nonsense. So we don't know what they're actually really saying. So the Cardassians are now being pushed into kind of like this third tier group just above the Jem'Hadar when it comes to the rankings of
Mhm.
importance in the Dominion. And Wayoon has really, he's kind of like, it seems like he's relishing pushing Damar out and the way that they're utilizing the Cardassians as kind of like cannon fodder against the Federation and its allies. There is the movement of the 11th Order to a planet called Septimus 3, where they're going to be heading off a major Klingon contingent, and it's 500,000 Cardassian soldiers. But Damar is worried that it's not going to be enough against the combined forces of the Federation and the Klingons. And Wayoon's like, "Well, you'll get your support. Don't worry about it. Stop focusing here. We have bigger concerns as the Dominion makes its plans and moves and whatever else."
Right.
But then, of course, word comes down that at Septimus 3, the Cardassians face a horrendous defeat. They don't get the support from the Dominion that they were looking for. And all 500,000 officers are wiped out by the Klingons.
Hmm.
Damar is very upset by this. And then on top of that, he's hearing about the secret treaty with the Breen. And in this, he's supposed to sign a document which is going to grant concessions to the Breen, which appear to be Cardassian territories.
Yep.
And it's unspecified Cardassian territories, and it's unspecified how much they're supposed to give up. So all of a sudden, not only are they losing soldiers, but they're losing property, they're losing assets. And he doesn't have any way of controlling any of it. But as the de facto leader of his people, he's required to sign off on it. So he's becoming very much disgusted with himself in dealing with all of this.
Yep.
Worf and Esri are being held in a prison cell together. At one point, even Wayoon intimates that he intentionally puts them together because interspecies mating practices fascinate him. So
Yep.
basically, he's saying he likes to watch, and he was hoping that they would, you know, get it on.
And
So
apparently he has a videotape of I mean, I don't know how he did, but yeah, keep going.
yeah. So yeah, so there's that. Now, um, there is a point where he gets a little too close to Worf, and Worf takes the opportunity to snap Wayoon Seven's neck, to which Damar is delighted and he chuckles about it. And I swear, I think that's what grants Worf the reprieve because the other Cardassians were ready to kill Worf right then. But Damar stops them and he
Yeah.
laughs about Wayoon's death. And then, of course, because he's a clone, Wayoon 8 comes in and Damar is teasing him about it and everything else. He's just like, "Oh yeah, if you don't believe the intelligence reports that we got, why don't you go speak to Worf again? That worked out last time." And he's like, "I look forward to meeting Wayoon 9." So it's great. Um, it's a clear sign
Yeah.
that respect between the Dominion and the Cardassians, at least as far as these two are concerned, it has been deteriorating. Okay,
Right.
so Damar becomes more and more disenfranchised with the Dominion. He's recognizing that the Cardassian people are really facing the brunt of the losses in this war, and he's tired of seeing his people being taken advantage of. So, when Worf and Esri mount their escape, he helps them and he allows them to get on a ship to get away from Cardassian space.
Yep.
Also, Worf and Esri seem to kind of patch things up a little bit between the two of them. A recognition that she is not Jadzia, and he needs to basically accept that and move on. To which largely it already seems like Worf is kind of putting a lot of that behind him. So to his credit, I mean, he explains the whole thing about how he views sex and sex partners, things like that, versus how the Trill do it, and especially how Jadzia did it in the past. He has reconciled that, and now they're ready to move on. It was a very short part about them, really, in this whole thing, but it was basically enough to show that Ezri and Worf are now have established an actual legitimate friendship. No one avoiding anyone anymore. Everyone okay with the fact that we're not going to be together. You don't legitimately love me. I don't legitimately love you. This was something else.
And I
we're
realize
we're
I
friends.
do love Bashir.
Right. Oh, and by the way, I love Bashir. Meanwhile, for that part, and we're gonna get to this
Yeah, we got
on the
plenty to talk about.
station.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, on the station, we've got O'Brien, Bashir, and Quark in a scene where they're all depressed because Esri's not there, and Quark is pouring her favorite drink in memoriam because no one knows where she is, and they just look so distraught that she is not there. And we're gonna have to come back to that before once the
Anyone
recap
want
is
to pour
over.
one out for Jadzia?
Right,
Anybody?
right. Or how about Worf, the living freaking legend who has survived more things than any of y'all combined, and y'all don't even mention his name except
So
to make fun of him.
yeah,
If
Quark
Worf
just
hadn't
says
gotten lost in the Badlands,
we wouldn't have
that's
lost
all you could.
Esri. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
anyway, we'll get there. Aside. Another little story that we have going on here is the fact that Cisco has already gone ahead with the marriage to Cassidy, and he's trying to. They're now trying to get used to each other and being married. As the emissary, he is going to be required to do a lot of different things for Bajor, and the Bajoran people would now like for his wife to participate as well. To which Cassidy is hesitant to do so. Which I kind of got her point because while he may be a religious figure in their religion, she's not. She married him. She didn't marry the religion. She didn't marry the people. She shouldn't necessarily be required to do all those things. Now, I also believe that everything is up for some level of compromise. And this is the first time that we've seen them talk about this, so we don't know. But I think that down the road, her agreeing to do at least some of the things
Right.
would make a little bit of sense and make him feel better. She is his wife after all, and
Yeah.
he's, going to have to do these things a lot.
Yeah,
So
she
there's
didn't
that.
walk into this blind. She may not have
Right.
known all that she was walking into per se, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So that's their story. So then we turn to kind of our main event here. And holy crap, I just forgot.
Gold Dukat and
Go Dukat and Win Adami. So here we see these two have really been enjoying each other. Dukai and Angel, who is Ducat, and they've really, yeah, really been enjoying each other, much to the ick factor of the other Vedics who serve Kai Wynn and so forth.
yeah.
So now she's, after they've, eaten a lot and drank a lot, she's just like, okay, like, I need to know more. I'm kind of ready to move on with things. What's next? And you got me rubbing my eyes now, too. Um, she ends up having another vision. And in this vision, she has two. So the first one is kind of them reinforcing that the prophets are calling her the chosen one. And so she's now ready, and she's like, I'll do whatever you ask. And so then later on, she has another vision. And in this vision, it's kind of the same, is the same people, Cisco, Kira, so forth. Only now they're like revealing to her that they're not the prophets, they're the power race. And they want her to help her, or they want her to help them be restored to the celestial temple. She freaks out, understandably so. You've just basically been contacted by the devil
Hmm.
and his cohorts, and being asked to do this thing that will depose the gods in heaven and install the demons.
Right.
And so she freaks out. um Angel reveals that he
No,
came
hold
to
on.
her.
She gets the orb of prophecy brought to her.
Well, yes, she demands Angel have her servant Sobor bring the orb of prophecy to her. They bring the orb, they open it up, and nothing happens. She does not have a vision. She doesn't have any kind of experience. Nothing. So now she's really starting to freak out. To which Angel reveals that the reason he came to her is because he too had a vision from the Pares, and the Pares um, wanted him to
Recruiter.
help her,
Yeah.
and yeah, to help her and to recruit her into doing this thing. So she flips out on him. You are a servant of the power race. You are a heretic. You're this. You're get out. And she slaps him and she tells him to get out. And then he makes his grand speech about, oh yeah, fine, stay here in service to the prophets who have never talked to you, who've never shown you a moment of kindness or understanding, who chose an alien as their voice over you. Stay here and exist in Cisco's shadow. And he storms out. Now she's deep in her crisis of faith moment. She begs and pleads with the prophets to give her any kind of sign at all, and she will do whatever it is they ask. And of course, the prophets don't answer. It's late at night. She wakes up Kira, has Kira come to her, and she tells Kira almost everything. She's like, I've strayed from the path that the prophets have laid out for me. I'm having this terrible crisis. I need help. Like I need to know like what do I need to do? And Kira's like, this is great. Like I've been praying that you would wake up and see that you have strayed. And now that you have seen, here's what you need to do. And so she's like, give up power, give up temptation, get away from the jealousy and the rage and the hurt and all this stuff, and just go and be a person. And uh, the guy's like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. And the Kira's like, yeah, as soon as you step down as Kai, everything will be better. And she's like, whoa, 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 wait. You want me to give up being Kai? Like, do you see how good I look in this? I can't give this up. Um, so Kira's like, well, I thought that you really wanted to truly be better and to have a change. She's like, yeah, but see, now that I've realized what my problem is, I can do all those things and still be Kai and be an even better Kai. The prophets will need me once I've converted internally, right? And Bajor still needs me. My people still need me. Like none of that has changed. I can still be a great leader and to the Bajoran people and a server of the prophets. And Kira's like, no, you can't. Your entire reason for being in this position is wrong. You need to leave it. Um,
And I was going to put a fine point on this. When she's confessing to Kira, she confesses that she's abused power. She's like been tempted by power. So Kira's like, "Great, give up power," and she's like, "Huh?"
no. What, what do you mean give up power? Did you
Right.
not just hear all the cool things I did with it? Like, what's wrong with you? So
Yeah.
so Kira now in recognizing that it's never going to happen, that Kai Wynn is not going to step down, Kira excuses herself. And she's just like, that was it. That was your last chance at being redeemed. You lost it. So once Kira leaves and once Kai Wynn sits with everything, she recognizes that the prophets have never spoken to her. The prophets have never given her a vision. The prophets have never done anything for her that in any way makes them deserving of her
All
love,
her
her
efforts.
respect. She talks about the first time she ever saw the Celestial Temple, the wormhole in
And she's talking
particular.
to Gul Dukat by this point.
Yes,
Gul Dukat
yes.
shows up. Yeah.
And how she saw it from space from the first time when she was on the promenade and she saw it, and how all the other Bajorans around her, when they saw it, they talked about how they were immediately filled with the presence of the prophets and could sense their love for them and everything else, and how she felt absolutely nothing. And that she's always felt this way, and that she's always been a great pretender, but she's never felt a connection to the prophets. But she does feel something in regards to the Paul race. So now she's ready to move forward and to take those next steps that Angel is going to lead her down. And look out anybody who stands in their way,
Right.
because now that they have a fully devoted and powerful and ambitious person like Kai Wynn in their ranks, no one will be able to stop them.
Right.
And that's how the episode ends.
Yep.
Now, obviously, these are kind of like the high points of the episode. You can go and watch it. It's available on Paramount Plus right now. It's really not bad of an episode, kind of a slow build, but it gets there and it delivers very well.
Yeah.
One quick thing I forgot to mention is, like I said, Damar helps Ezri and Worf escape, but he also tells them to relay a message
Yeah.
that the Federation now has an ally on Cardassia,
Right.
basically announcing that he has decided to go turncoat
Right.
and be a spy for the Federation.
Right.
But that's it. That's the episode. As I said, slow burn, but it delivers in the end.
Yeah.
And David, take it away, Mr. First Time Viewer. What did you think?
Yeah, this episode is really important because it really well, most importantly it moves Kai Wynn's story along. We get resolution to the Ezri Wharf nonsense, and I actually kind of appreciate it in some ways. Though I'm sensing maybe you didn't, because before we started tonight, you said you had a bone to pick this episode. So I'm wondering what that bone is to pick.
Okay. Do you want me to say
Go
so
for it.
now, or do
Yeah,
you want to
yeah,
continue? Okay. My
yeah.
bone
Go
to
for it.
pick is not with that part. I'm actually glad for that as well. I'm glad that they finally put not just a little pin in it. We're going to come back to this later, but it's done. Worf, it seems like it to a degree has, grown up here a little bit. He is not holding people to the same kind of standards that he would for another Klingon, or in particular himself. And he has that moment when he recognizes that, Ezri is not Jadzia, and he says it, and it's a very, there's a finality to it. The way he says it, it's like he's recognizing he did kind of conflate this issue here, and he's still a little prideful, doesn't want to totally admit it, but they get to a point where he's like, "Yeah, look, we, things happen that shouldn't have. We
Right.
can now have a friendship and move on." My bone to pick with this episode, or with this particular aspect of it, is that bar scene.
Mm, hmm.
O'Brien, Bashir, Quark sitting in a bar looking miserable because Ezri is not there.
Their
Quark
dear,
didn't, their
dear
dear
friend.
friend that they've known for a few weeks. A few weeks, people. She came to us at the beginning of season 7. She wasn't here in season 6. She wasn't here in season 5. She came to us in the beginning of season 7. Y'all have known her for a couple of weeks. You don't have a glass of prune juice for Worf sitting up there. Now, granted, Worf has been there for a while and he has never once been nice to Quark. So I get
Mhm.
Quark. Now, I get Quark.
Yeah.
Quark, I don't necessarily have a problem with. But Bashir, O'Brien, especially O'Brien, you've now served with Worf on 2 different postings. Y'all have gone through the ringer together. Remember when the Borg were attacking the Enterprise and y'all thought everybody was gonna be assimilated? What? You got nothing? You can't make them honor your friend at all? They didn't even mention Worf's name except to say he was the reason that Ezra was gone.
Yeah.
Bashir's like, yeah, if the Badlands hadn't been so bad,
Yeah.
then the Defiant would have been able to find Worf, and she wouldn't have taken off to go after him in the first place. And Quark is right there. Oh, yeah, that's right. That big dumb, as he calls him, that big dumb Klingon oaf hadn't gotten lost. I'm like, Worf is a decorated officer, as close to legendary status as you're gonna get, and y'all are just gonna let this bartender who's never fought, who's never been a part of anything other than serving his own ends, you're gonna let him insult him like that? Really? I
Yep.
that's like us, like trying to equate this somehow, like a known, I don't know, a known 4-star general goes into a bar and some random person over there is like, "Oh yeah, you're a big dumb idiot." I don't mind, regardless of where you fall in any kind of political things, that person has earned your respect.
Right.
All right. You may not agree with whatever it is, conflicts they may have been involved in, but the fact they're standing there, yeah, you shut your mouth.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that at all for Worf. They're, oh, poor Esri. Esri, who's all of what, 26? She's got no experience. She's never done it. She didn't even finish school. Cisco conscripted her before she could. You remember she was 6 months out from finishing, and Cisco was like, screw it. I'm just going to sign your paperwork. She didn't even finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's got no hold over any of them whatsoever. And they couldn't even bring themselves to be like, hey, at least one of them should have said, hey, Worf, our fellow officer, is missing as well. We don't even know if they're together. Worf was missing in the Badlands for a few days before Ezri took off to go and look for him. As
That's
far as they're
true.
concerned, Worf is still missing in the Badlands.
Well,
She never found him
yeah, it's really as if they've already written Worf off. He was
completely.
Yeah, he was dead to begin with. Esri going after him was a foolish errand in the first place, because he was already dead as far as they care. And if only that stupid mongrel mutt hadn't got himself killed, basically.
It
That
was so disrespectful.
Yeah,
So disrespectful. And I'm
and
like, what is this disrespect for Worf? Worf,
well,
who has time and time again been there for them, saved them.
and then of all things, Bashir being like, "Oh, Esri's an old soul, but a young spirit." I'm like,
I was just beginning to feel something for what?
Like he
Get
can't
out of
talk.
here.
Like
Yeah, he can't. He's so overwhelmed with the
yeah,
loss of this person who he hasn't even declared any kind of feelings openly for. He's so
right.
overwhelmed. His brain, Mr. Smart Guy, genetically engineered, whatever, is shutting down. He can't function.
Well, and I just gonna remind everyone that Dr. Bashir should be a little humble because the last woman he had affection for was literally mentally handicapped. Like, take it
But
down a notch, bro. Take it down a notch.
a woman that also though that he fixed, like
Ah,
he fixed,
ah,
and then
uh-huh.
she became like the perfect woman for him. And what did he do? How did he treat her? Basically, he was like, "Why do you have any ambition at all? You should stay here and just want to be with me."
Yeah.
That was his whole thing.
I
What are
fixed
you
your
talking
brain
about?
to be my wife. Yeah.
Yeah, I fixed your brain. You're now as smart as I am, maybe even a little smarter, but
Go eat
don't
you a
use any.
sandwich.
Yeah, don't use any of that. Stay here. Let's make me breakfast.
Yeah.
Did you clean the quarters first before you started doing all your weird musing tinkering about? No, you didn't. All right. Yeah. I
It's not much
I
fun to be intimate with with a person who can't react, but now that you can react, yeah.
yeah, now that you can't react, go shine my boots. Yeah,
Yeah.
and look at me adoringly because I'm the man who fixed your brain and allowed you to sing me songs and yeah. God, what an annoying, arrogant, just oh man, awful. But I
Yeah.
mean, my problem was with all of them, but in particular, Miles O'Brien. Like it's very rare that O'Brien catches my ire, but in
Yeah.
this, he's all wrong. You have served with War for years. For years, y'all have been through multiple conflicts. Y'all have come through multiple near-death incidents. Your ship has almost exploded. How many? How many times? Y'all
Well,
have had each other's backs on stuff, and you couldn't even bring us. You didn't mention his name at all. If anybody should have said Worf's name in a positive way, should have been O'Brien.
there's one other person, and remind me if I'm wrong, but at the beginning of this episode, General Martok is talking to Cisco about just getting married. Does Worf get mentioned in that conversation? Was I distracted?
No, Worf does not get mentioned in that conversation.
He's a part of Martok's house. He
Yeah,
was
but
adopted.
Klingons are different. Klingons
Well,
are different,
fair enough.
and
But
Klingons. It's like as far as Martok is concerned, Worf is just missing. He's still very much alive. Worf could walk through at any moment. Klingons don't accept that you're dead until they see your body.
fair
You can
enough.
come back 40 years later and they'll be like, "About time."
Yeah.
Like, glad to see you. Don't get me wrong, but why'd you keep us waiting for so long? Like that's how they treat it.
Well, my whole point though is like not even Martok had something to say to Cisco. Even he didn't say we're still
That's
waiting
true.
for Worf to show back up.
That's true. No
Meanwhile,
one no one mentions the fact that yeah, Worf is still missing. Like no one says it. It's just
Ezri is
uh
missing. That's it.
Ezri is the one.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
just
only
I
Worf is
can't
just
accept that.
mentioned in conjunction with Ezri. Yeah.
And what kills me about it is, we're supposed to be giving all this extra, deference or whatever to Ezri, but if you think about it, it's all because she used to be Jadzia. It's not because if this was any other officer, right? You're talking about a first year officer who did not finish their academy training that you guys have only known for 6 weeks at best, six
Eh,
weeks.
I'd say it's longer than that, but I know what you mean.
And and suddenly that person goes missing. It's not to say that it's not sad. It's not to say that it's not something that you should investigate, but it's not going to have the same resonance as, let's say, um, Kira goes missing, a known officer that you've served with for years, who's been a consistent part of your day for years, suddenly turns up missing. Yeah, going to hunt for that person makes a little bit more sense. And that, at the very least, is where Worf is. Worf came into the show season 4. We're now in season 7. So all of you have known him for at least 3, technically 4 years, however you want to look at it. O'Brien, far longer than that, coming from the Enterprise, right? He's a decorated soldier. He's a decorated officer. He's got multiple high up, high level, important friends, people who know him, and he's missing. And none of y'all, no one's worried that, I don't know, Jean Luc Picard's going to get word that one of his best trained officers has gone missing somewhere and wants to at least be updated on the search.
Yep.
Like, come on. It was just blatantly disrespectful. Meanwhile, we're gonna sit here and look mopey and pour a glass of her favorite whatever drink in this ugly cup while we reminisce about all that could have. You're all sitting there upset because you didn't get the chance to bone her. I
Well, that's the
want you to
funny thing.
recognize that.
The funniest thing about it being Quark too is like, Quark is supposed to be this greedy miser, and he's gonna pour out a drink for her every day at the same time. Like, even a Ferengi you could think would be able to get over his, affection in favor of saving a few pieces of gold pressed latinum. I don't know how much her drink costs, but presumably he would at some point go, it's not worth it. But gosh, Esri's really proven herself to be very, very lovable to Quark and the crew.
Nah, it just seems
So,
like there's slim pickings of available women on the station, and so
oh,
everyone
that's an
that's
accurate
single,
statement.
yeah, everyone that's single, they've got these lecherous dudes ready to pounce on them at a moment's notice, and they're that's why they don't bring up Worf, because they, as far as they know, she left because she's still in love with the guy, and
Right.
they hate the fact that that's why she's gone.
Yeah.
She didn't go off on some noble quest or whatever and is gone. No, she's gone because she still loves that big dumb stupid Klingon. Racist much, guys? Huh? Racist much? You
Xenist.
jerks.
Yeah. Xenophobic, or
Yeah,
actually
that's the thing.
xenophobic.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. She's a trill. She's not even human.
Yeah.
She's not even human.
Yeah.
But she looks enough like a human and she's cute, so we're gonna give her a pass. Meanwhile, she's shacking up with that giant monster over there. We can't have
Well,
that.
apparently Wei
Can't have
Yun
that.
is also
Quite
interested
fond
in
of the
Esri.
interspecies interplay. Yeah.
I think he said rituals, the interspecies rituals. I was like, man, they went there with that one. Like, woohoo. But yeah,
It's just
I
another way to nail the coffin down that way Yoon's a creep.
yeah,
If you weren't sure before, now you are. He
which
secretly videotapes you guys
which
bumping uglies.
I guess it really they must have set that line up so when he gets his neck snapped so quickly by Worf, you're like, oh yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah.
This way in particular deserved it.
And that's the thing about the Wayuns, if you've noticed, and they have made a comment about it. Even though they're all clones, they all have slightly different personalities. Wayne 7 was the more ruthless one. He was the more, yeah, just,
because it was five.
nefarious.
Was it 5 or 6 who came and went with Odo?
That was
Um,
5.
that was 5. Okay.
Wayun 5, he was the more compassionate one. And, well, we saw what happened to him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Um, yeah. But I am glad, I guess, that Esri and Worf finally have this conversation, basically saying, like, we've been keeping Jadzia in between us the whole time. Like, we've been filtering each
mhm.
other through our Jadzia lenses. We got to stop doing that, which I appreciate. I feel like, okay, now that we've done that, I don't want this to become a thing again.
Yeah,
This was
like never bring
annoying.
it up again.
Yeah,
This was a great way for you guys to solve this problem. You solved it. Thank you. Never bring it up again. I
exactly.
never want to have another conversation about Jadzia still being this awkward bridge, not bridge between us. It's done.
Yeah. As far as you two care, she's a friend you both knew who's dead. You both knew her. You had a good relationship with that friend Jadzia, and
Well,
she's
I mean,
dead.
one of you married her, so I
Well,
mean, you can think of her a
whatever.
little bit more than a friend, but I
But
understand what you're saying.
yeah, point being that, like, she's another person, literally was another person. She's not internal to Esri in any way that we have to keep fussing over, and that means that Worf needs to fuss over it either. She was a separate person, and she's gone. We're done. Yeah, glad that's done.
Yeah.
However, the best part of this episode was the Kai Wynn
Yes, the
part.
crisis of
Everything
faith,
else,
the crisis of faith part is definitely top tier stuff here.
yeah. And maybe they
Seeing
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
just gonna say real quick, seeing Louise Fletcher really just kind of break down here from the moment of the reveal of the Paul Wraiths to the association with Angel and how they were trying to, corrupt her and bring her into this, to her rejecting them and ultimately to siding with them.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliantly done. Loved it.
Yes. It really was. She killed it. She did a great job where when she was like responding so negatively to the paw race, she slaps Gold Dukat. She calls
Hmm.
in Kira. I was like, damn, are they gonna give her a redemption arc? Like that'd be an
Right,
interesting way to
last
play
minute
this.
redemption, like that would have been great if she had like taken it and been like, "You're absolutely right." Like maybe give her a reason to stay, like a little bit, just being like, "You're absolutely right. I know I need to do this, but I also need to make sure that whatever it is that Angela is planning can't happen. So I'm going to tell
Right.
you. I'm telling Cisco. I'm doing like all like that would have been a great way for it to end too. But no, this is
Yeah,
better."
it really is. Her final speech at the end of this episode, where she says, "They've never given me the fruits of their wisdom. They've never given me a word. They've never given me a vision. They've never done a thing for me. I've asked, I've begged, I've pled." Now we know that Kai Wynn doesn't deserve a damn thing. That she's a selfish, self-centered, power-hungry, manipulative. She's the worst. She's the absolute worst, and she is meant for Gul Dukat because he's the perfect. Like she's so evil that yeah, Gul Dukat manipulating the hell out of her is what she deserves. However, that she's such a great actress that she did a great job. Like I legitimately was like, are they gonna give her a redemption arc? Like we already know that she failed her redemption arc so far, but maybe that was just a you fail once but you get up again kind of thing. Nope, no, no, no. That final speech was great. The When I first saw the Celestial Temple, I felt nothing. Great
Hmm.
line, great speech. And Gul Dukat coming up and telling her that we're gonna restore the true gods of Bajor, the ones that actually care. It was great. I loved that. Like as you were recapping her talking with Kira, she says like, "Yes, I admit that I've abused power. I know, Kira, that you think I've been selfish and what." Like she says all the things, and then right when Kira says, "Okay, well, this is what you need to do. Then you need to give up your power," she immediately can't handle it. Like it was great. Like that's exactly how it works, right? People realize their fault and they look down the barrel of what they would have to do to change to actually, give up whatever it is that they don't want to give up, and they bulk and they turn back the way they were going the first way. Like that, I'll have to say that feels very Christian. Even like there's an element of sometimes where like that's how it sometimes goes when it comes to confessing sin of like I can't give up this sin, I don't want to, even though I know what is being asked of me, I won't do it. There's the story of the rich young ruler who comes to Jesus and he says, "What do I have to do to be saved?" And Jesus says, "Sell all your possessions and follow me." And the young man went away sad. And that's a simpler kind of version of what happens to Kai Wynn here. She gets told what she needs to do. And I love that she went to Kira. Like she knows that
Yeah.
Kira was the right person to
Yeah.
go to.
Kira was not going to BS you on this one. Kira was going to give you exactly what was needed here, and she did. She
Right.
delivers, and I loved also the way that Kira was just like so earnest with it. She was like, "I have been praying for, like, ever since you
Yeah.
told me that you had a vision, I had been praying that this would happen for you, and it seems like it has, and I'm instantly on board. Like
Yes.
all of the animosity, the hesitancy between us is gone.
Right.
I now know what you need to do. I'm going to tell you I'm here for you. I am
Yes.
absolutely
I
down for
was
this." And I love that. I love that delivery from
Yeah.
Kira.
She would be her advocate to the hilt. She would have been there for Kai Wynn the whole time. And as soon as Kai Wynn starts to balk, she doesn't play games. Kira doesn't go, "What are you doing? What do you mean? Oh no, no, no." She doesn't plead, she doesn't weep, she's like, okay, chance is over. Opportunity lost. You have to excuse me. Yeah, it's a great scene. And I love it too because you can see Kai Wynn's thinking of like, yes, I've abused my power before, but now I won't abuse my power. It's like,
Right.
no, 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 no,
Right.
no, no, no. To prove that you won't abuse your power, you have to give up the power. And she's like, huh?
And the crazy thing about her saying that, like, 'cause she says to Kira, "I sense that you have felt I've used my position and abused it, right?
Hmm.
That could be referring to so many things in regards to what Kai Wynn has done.
Yes.
And but with her speaking to Kira, I think that probably the most obvious one would be the whole situation with Vedic Barile.
I would say, yeah, yep.
You remember
Especially
when?
the
'Cause
he was doing the alliance, the treaty with the
yes,
Cardassians, right?
he was doing the treaty negotiations with the Cardassians, and he was in that accident, which destroyed part of his brain. And she kept pushing him, "Give me more, do this, do that." Even though he needed to be put into isolation so they could save him.
Right,
Um, yeah, so it's just like, and by doing this, she eliminated a threat to her power in
right,
Vedic Barile.
right.
So it's it's a wonderful scene. Both
Oh,
actresses deliver. Louise Fletcher really never disappoints. She has nailed that person you love to hate. And there's a little bit of backstory that they do about the actors and how they viewed their characters.
yeah,
And so, for Louise Fletcher, she talks about how, you know, Kai Wynn was always a very ambitious woman. And anything to keep herself in power is what she's going for. And so by this time here, she's recognizing that there's really nothing else left for her. And that if she is to truly maintain any kind of power or the structure that she's had, any semblance of that, she has to um, give in to the power race.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Now, Mark Alimo, who plays Gul Dukat or Angel here, um, great thing about him is he's always maintained that Dukat's an okay guy. That deep down inside, Dukat really wants and is a good man. And they said that he's always believed that. He has said he's always believed that. And he's ultimately everything he's tried to do has been to show people just how good of a man he is.
Right.
And when it came to these scenes and filming with Louise Fletcher and doing this whole love interest thing and everything else, he thought that this was going to be a way for him to yet again redeem Ducat, despite the fact that
I
this was
love that
dealing with
Mark
the power
Alimo
race.
was so committed to his
He
character
was
that way.
committed,
Yeah,
and in thinking about it, and in knowing that's how he thought about it, I think that's another reason why he sells the character so well,
yeah.
because he has internalized this deep
Mindset of his
secret
character.
of right. The deep secret is Ducat's really a great guy.
Yeah,
You're gonna see, like, just let me keep doing what I'm doing, because
right.
eventually you're gonna see that I'm a great man.
Yeah, he's literally the wife beater who says, "Why are you making me beat you?
Right. This is your fault.
This
If
is for
you
your
would
good."
just
Yeah,
right, if you would just do as I say, when I say it, how I say it, right then instantly, we wouldn't have these problems.
yeah, yeah.
If you
And
guys
he's
would
so
just
sincere the
erect a
whole time.
statue, give me my statue, and we we wouldn't have these problems.
And
It's crazy.
when he calls out Cisco for being the emissary that Kai Wynn has to, in the shadow of. I mean, the reason he can say it with such passion is because he's in the same boat. He wants
Yes.
to overthrow Cisco for the exact same reasons. Um,
Cisco literally has everything that Ducat has chased. He's in
yes,
a position of power and authority on that station that he loves so much. The Bajoran people adore Cisco almost to the point of
they
adulation,
venerate him.
of
Yeah,
worship.
yeah,
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 and that is a position that Ducat has coveted ever since he learned about it. He's like, "You
100%.
mean to tell me I've been beating and oppressing and murdering these people, and this guy just shows up in a couple of weeks? He's like the next best thing to God to them? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah,
So yeah, it's hard for him for sure. And and I think it also hurts because he brings it up a lot, and like he says it, I know the most as Angel, but I still think it's something that bothers him. This alien came in and assumed this godlike status for these people. I too am an alien. I was here first, and they couldn't see me for my greatness, but this one comes in, this human. What is that? Like,
Well, it's
yeah.
great that you say that because every time he's talking with Kai Wynn, he's talking about how we, our people, like he really has switched over from being Cardassian to Bajoran. Like that's how much it's
Nah,
so
he hasn't
bizarre.
switched
Like
over.
he's
He has just thoroughly converted into the sense of we as in from the power for me, I always took that as from the power race standpoint. We are
yeah,
all worshipers of the power race, or we should
right,
be.
right.
That's
No,
the we.
I'm not saying he's not
Cardassian and
Cardassian
Bajoran
anymore.
alike.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying that like his obsession with the Bajorans and their love has caused him to it's a perverse association he
Yeah.
has with them. It's not just he takes Bajoran lovers and has Bajoran half children. He now is dressing as them, worshiping their not their gods but their
They're
demons.
demons. Yeah,
It's
he's taken to their demons.
like that's how perverse he is with his obsession with the Bajorans. And
And that's probably the best word for it, obsession. He
mhm,
definitely has an obsession with the Bajoran people. Like everything that he has done has driven them to that point. He
right.
is obsessed with them worshiping him.
Yeah. And what's really on top of that is in the last episode we might remember he presents himself as having survived Gold Ducat's execution because Kai Wynn had had bribed some guy.
Had
Like
secretly bribed some people, which just goes to show you just how much Ducat really knew of
right,
all the things that were going on. He uses that knowledge to
right,
further endear himself
right.
to Kai Wynn.
Yeah, he sets himself up for
Tricky.
success amongst them,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's fun to see these two characters come together because they've been so evil for so long, but they never were meant like they were always, Kai Wynn
They're
comes up and
opposite
then
sides of evil.
yeah,
Opposite sides of evil. That's a crazy way to get two characters to come around and be together.
right,
You would think that they would stay diametrically opposed. Like, yes,
right,
Kai Wynn is evil, but she is doing things from this position of such a religiously devout position, and the Cardassians are as close to a living corporeal embodiment of evil as she is, as far as she is concerned. So to be paired up with one,
right.
and now granted, she doesn't know that he is a Cardassian.
Oh,
She
sure,
does not
that's
know,
true.
but
That's
still,
true.
but still,
Oh, I mean,
the,
the whole irony of that, of course, is that if you had to choose between opposing the Cardassians or opposing the Paul Wraiths, she is supposed to be the spiritual leader, and no, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're against the Paul Wraiths, and the Cardassians are not as important a villain per se, something to oppose as the Paul Wraiths
yeah.
are. But nope,
You know, and I mean, and how long did it take her to really get over her fear of the power race? I mean, they revealed themselves to her, and I mean, and she calls to Kira in the middle of the night, so it almost seems like, a span of a few hours. Like
I
she
would
doesn't
say
even really
it's a
sit with it for is it a day? Maybe.
I feel like it's a day and a half because when Gold Dukat comes back to her quarters, it feels like it's a nighttime thing. Like that's she's in darkness when she's talking to him. So I think it's 24 hours after she told him to leave because he
Okay.
says when he shows up that she called for me, which we know we imagine is not true because the attendant guy's like he says you called for him and she says leave us like she doesn't deny it but she also doesn't like
Hmm.
say that it's true. She just like accepts that okay, the Paul race are bringing us together, and now I'm good to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
great little climactic. The villains climactic
You know,
story is great, which sets us up for more of the
you know,
future things to come. Yeah,
you know what it reminded me of? Did you ever see the movie, um, the cartoon movie, The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
been a while, but yeah,
I was gonna call it Quasimodo for a second, but that's the name of the movie. Now,
yeah.
and
No,
I'm
no, the
I'm
Hunchback is good.
sorry for this. I'm sorry for this, but isn't that a book as well, The Hunchback
Hmm.
of Notre Dame? And
Yep,
I've never read it. Maybe
I
that's one I
haven't.
should put it on my list, but it kind of up there for me, like with Les Miserables. I've never read that either, but they kind of strike me as in the same vein. But the only reason why I bring it up is because I saw the animated movie, which to me is highly debatable as to whether or not that movie is for children.
Oh yeah.
But there's a scene in the movie where the guy who is the high priest, minister,
hmm
whatever his
Uh,
title
uh,
is.
yeah, for his name, Cardinal Rochelle. For his name, but yeah, keep going.
Well, so in the scene, it's shortly after he is first seen Esmeralda, and he is totally, taken over by her beauty, right?
hmm
And he is just, she must be his. He is adamant. So
Yep.
there's this scene where he's like in the abbey, I guess. It's like a very large room, and there's a fireplace, and he's confessing
Uh huh.
his sin, that
Yep.
this very pious man has felt this lust, this sudden lust, and it's been inflamed by this woman, and he does not
Hellfire is the song.
understand,
Yeah.
right, doesn't understand where it's coming from, but it must be either purged. He's like begging God, to remove these feelings from him. But then when it seems like that's not going to happen, and that God is kind of like forsaking him in this moment, he then turns and he's like, well, fine then. If you won't remove this from me, then I will make her mine. She will either
Yeah.
be mine or she will suffer. And we
Right.
see the flames growing larger and larger, and the demonic hooded figures are coming out of the shadows around him, and that's what the whole scene is about. And he's like, and either she will be mine or she will burn,
Yeah.
is how that song goes.
Right.
Terrifying scene, but it reminded me, or this with Kai Wynn reminded me of that, like when she is confronted by the Paul Wraiths, and she first rejects them, and then she falls to the ground, and she's like begging the prophets, give me a sign, give me any sign, anything will do, give me something so that I know that I have your support, and I will do whatever you ask, I'll do whatever you say. She's begging.
Yeah.
And then after that is when Kira comes. So it's almost like, in a way, the prophets gave you what you asked for. Kira
Okay. Well, and
comes to
Kira,
you
and she says, Kira says to her, not everything is always communicated with like a word or spoken.
directly, right? You're
Yeah.
you're yeah, basically saying, like, you want the prophets to appear to you and say this thing. The prophets don't always do things that way. Kind of the equivalent of the prophets move in mysterious ways.
Right.
And yeah, and so she's like, and so I'm standing here, a devout believer myself, a person that you also know has had direct contact with the prophets a few times.
Yeah. She
And
was
I'm
even
telling you,
inhabited by one at
yeah,
one
she
point.
was a vessel. She was a vessel for the prophets at one point. So I'm telling you, here's what you need to do. And she says, nah, mm, that can't be right.
Yeah.
That can't be true.
Well,
You want
she
me to
doesn't
give up
just say,
all of this?
"Ah." That's why I'm saying, like, every time when she hears it, her response was, "Huh?" Like, she can't compute. Like, what?
Like, like, are you sure you're okay? Did you hear the words that I said?
Yeah, exactly.
Where in what I communicated to you did you hear me say, I want to give up power?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I want you to solve my problem while allowing me to sit comfortably in my throne chair.
yeah,
How do you do that?
yeah.
Try
I
again.
was beating you with my fists, but I'm not gonna stop punching.
No. We need
I'll
to rephrase this. Let's not call it. Well, you got another word for this? No, you don't? Well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to keep doing it, though.
yeah, yeah. She is something else, but that's why it was so great. Because again, Louise Fletcher, she sold that scene. She sold all of the scenes she was in. Um,
She
yeah,
absolutely did. Louise Fletcher absolutely nails it here. When you look it up and you find out she's only been in 19 episodes throughout this entire show run, it just seems so amazing because when she's there, she's impactful, she's important, she progresses an aspect of the story.
is that
Um,
19 a part of these last couple episodes? Assuming that these last,
yes,
say, 8 or 9 all contribute to
yes,
that 19, that means that half of her being on the show is now being right here. We're
it's
finding
here.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Gul
and she
Dukat.
delivers.
It's great that we're having all these characters. Wei Yun is here all the time. We got the female changeling. We got Gold Damar.
Damar go Leggett Damar. He's been
Leggett.
promoted. He is
Correct.
Leggett Damar now.
Correct. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yes.
it's great to read the cast list every time we watch an episode, and it like starring blah 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 blah. But then like I'm reading right here, we got like the female changeling, Martok, obviously, Damar.
Salome
Yeah. Oh,
Jens.
Cassidy, Penny Johnson as
Penny
Cassidy Yates.
Johnson, yeah.
I have to say, I'll quickly say, I wasn't really a big fan of General Martok being like "love is war." I mean, that's a Klingon thing, fine. But
Marriage
then
is war, not love
marriage
is
is war.
war.
Well, excuse
Marriage
me.
is war.
True, true. Marriage is war. Funny little anecdotal story about his wife. He loves her, and she's the tempestuous love of his life. And the first thing she did when she moved into his house after getting married is let his dog out, basically, and the dog was lost forever. Um, but
Yeah, I don't know if I would have forgiven my wife for that one. Like I thought about it and I was just like
well, he said he
in
had
the,
the thing when he was a kid. Like
yeah, it was
it
like
was,
his pet since like all of his life.
yeah,
And the first thing she does when she moves in is leave the door open so that it can escape.
right.
And it's just like, really?
Shows you how loyal the dog was too.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, it's a
it's a my
yeah,
yeah.
it's a creature. We don't know what their intelligence level really is.
Right, right.
You
Yeah,
know.
much of it's not a dog; it's equivalent.
Hmm.
But yeah, but then when Cisco is making dinner and he says to Cassidy like, "Hey, the Bajorans expect you to like help perform some of their ceremonies that they have for the emissary," and she's like, "Nope." I married you, not the religion. I'm not converting. I'm going to go take a shower. And he's like, don't worry, 15 minutes. But then he says, like,
So it's interesting to note really quick. There were two scenes that were filmed but not shot or not used,
aired,
ultimately were cut
right?
because of length of time. And
Okay.
so they directly relate to this. And so in that
Because he
scene, we know
pours
that
something into the food. Like,
yeah, he's seasoning the food up, whatever. And he says, yeah, the first blow struck, or whatever it is he says. But the scenes that were cut, there is one where Cassidy meets with Kira and is like, can you believe that he wants me to do this thing, whatever. And Kira's kind of like, well, just so like I get what you're saying, but just so you know, my father attended religious services with my mother without fail every week. But my father was not a religious man. He did it because he loved my mother and it was something that was important to my mom.
right.
So, and then
Hmm.
that led into another scene that was not used, and that's where Cisco is performing the ceremony that he was talking about with Cassidy in the scene that we did see.
Right.
He's performing the ceremony, and right towards the end of the ceremony, Cassidy comes in and finishes the ceremony with Cisco,
Oh, okay.
showing that she has
That would
agreed
have
to some
been
kind of level of compromise.
That would have been lovely to see,
Yeah.
honestly. Because what I'm getting at is that when Cisco sends Cassidy off to take a shower, be back in 15 minutes, he says the first blow has been struck, but then like he takes it like a spice, like some sort of seasoning, a sauce that he is using, but like it's gonna make it unpalatable for her, maybe like he's
Yeah,
gonna season it too
they didn't
much.
explain that very well because at first you see him, he pulls up one, it's like a little vial, and it's like he looks at it and then puts it down, and he pulls up this other big bulbous red stuff
Right.
and begins to pour it in, and it's like, what's happening? Did you accidentally grab the wrong? Because they don't explain it. It's like, did you grab
Yeah.
the wrong seasoning and then recognize you grabbed the wrong one, and now you're correcting it, or are you intentionally putting something
Yeah.
different in her
That she won't
food?
like. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like, that's
right.
not a very husband-like behavior, I would say. I mean, I can understand a prank. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I don't think you'd want to start with pranks week one of your marriage. Just I'm not
Yeah,
married myself, so don't take my word for anything, of course. But yeah, it's a curious
yeah.
choice.
They didn't explain it, and unfortunately, we don't know what it is, but it immediately struck me as some kind of hot sauce. I could be
Yes,
wrong, but
yeah,
that was what I got. It was like, oh, he's making the food little hot, add some heat. And they never say what it is he's making, so we don't know, so a lot of things we don't know about that scene that could have been inferred there. But the other two scenes that were ultimately cut would have helped with their storyline a little bit and showing Cassidy at least on the road to some kind of compromise.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, we had a lot of stuff going on this episode, so they couldn't really put every single thing in. So I appreciate what we got.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense they have to cut things, so I don't begrudge
Yeah.
them that. But yeah.
So, final thoughts on Strange Bedfellows, an episode directed by Rene Auberjonois, by the way.
Yeah, the only scene he
Um,
appeared in was in the Paul Wraith's
yeah,
appearing to Kai Wynn. Yeah, this is a good episode in the sense that we moved plot forward in significant ways. The Dominion plot has moved forward. We have Leggett, Damar
Jamar.
pledging to or helping, Worf and Ezri escape, and so he's now going to help out. He's like the anti Gul Dukat in that sense. Someone who, like, when Gul Dukat gets mad, he gets petty, but like he turned to the Paul Wraiths. Gul Damar or Leggett Damar here is going to turn to the Federation. Like they're two different men in that sense. Like there's
Yeah.
that scene, we got to mention the scene where he goes and he's been drinking
Kanar.
Kanar a lot, and he finally smashes
He
glass
doesn't like
against
he
the
doesn't like
mirror.
what he sees in the mirror, which once again, I'm gonna hand it to them on the design. That was a beautiful mirror. I don't know where I'd ever get a mirror like that. I don't know where, even if I
How do
had
you
a mirror
clean
like
it
that, where
after
it would
you've got
go.
that syrupy stuff
Right.
all over it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I was like, that was a
I thought it
one-take
was pretty.
shot, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. It looked disgusting. He threw it and it didn't like splash the way that you would expect. It
It's
splattered
syrupy,
and
yeah.
then it just slow it's like ugh. Looks
My
like
favorite part of that
like
scene,
spit.
yeah, part of my favorite part of that scene was when he went to pour himself. Like the guy playing Gul Damar, like perfectly pours himself a shot. Like he's played the character well enough to know what a shot looks like
Yeah.
coming out of the bottle.
But then, like, if you notice, he pours the shot the first time, downs it. Then he goes back and he's like, "That wasn't enough," and he fills the glass up the
That's
next
what I
time.
mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. That second time, he really fills it up to maximum, but he gets it just right, and then
and then
smashes it.
doesn't drink it, so it splashes. I always wanted to know what it was that they used for that. Like, is that like maple syrup? It's
Yeah.
got to be some. It's got to be some kind of food because it definitely goes in his mouth.
Yes.
We see him drink it, so it's
Yeah.
got to be something. And I've just wondered what that is. I do know he talks about the actor who plays Damar. Yes, Casey Biggs, who, by the way, used to be married to Roxanne Dawson, who played Polana Torres on Star Trek Voyager. But never mind. But Casey Biggs, he does talk about how he had to do a particular scene where he's in Quarks and he's drinking Kanar, and they had to keep doing the scene over and over again. So he had to keep drinking the Kanar. And by the time they were done and did what they needed to do and everything else, he had drank so much of this stuff, he had made himself sick. So he was just like, I was done for a good while. And so I'm just like,
Yeah.
I always wondered what that was. I'm assuming it was like slightly watered down maple syrup to give it the right consistency.
Yeah.
But could you just imagine having to lug down mouthfuls of
Well,
maple syrup
yeah.
over and over again?
Maple
Ugh,
syrup is delicious on a pancake or a waffle, but you never want to drink it straight.
no. God, it'd be awful.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a good episode because it moves the plot along, especially the Kai Wynn plot part of it. I love that it gave me a moment of being like, whoa, are they gonna do the redemption arc? Like I legitimately was wondering for a quick second, but no. Like even then I knew like no, they have to commit to her having the giving in to evil. Like that's too delicious a storyline to give up with her just turning good at the last minute. No, we got to see how deep can she really fall? How deep can she really go? I'm glad that Ezri and Worf have finally worked out their nonsense. I'm glad the Breen are involved because that's a new element that turns things up a notch. I have to say, in the scene where Wayun and the Breen guy were talking about, well, it turns out they have some strategy options. Like it looked like they were too close together, and like the helmet was so big and low. It looked like he was like it was too intimate. There was no personal space. I would have, as Jeffrey. I wish Jeffrey Combs had said, "Excuse me, Renee Auberginois, but I'm going to ask that my character have a little more personal space. Like, can we back them up a little bit? Because this guy's got to whack me
Social
with his helmet."
social distancing before it was cool.
Yeah.
Now, as a
Yeah.
fun little aside backstory here, for since we're talking about the Breen and those helmets, fun to note the actors who had to wear those helmets could not see at all. So this actually spawned a joke on set, which was, uh, what was it? It was something like, "How do you insult a Breen? You ask him to walk away," something like that.
It's a good line.
Yeah, how do you defeat the Breen? You ask him to walk across the room. Something along those lines. So the reason for it was that there was a the scene where the female changeling is supposed to enter into the room. They were going to stage it so that when she came in, she was going to be flanked by a couple of Breen officers. So they had turned to one of the extras and asked him to walk across the room to get over and through the door so that he could be flanking her when she came in. Well, the actor turned and tried to walk, but again, can't see. So immediately upon walking, runs into a part of the wall that, because they love weird angles in Trek. So he hits it and then like tries to
Breaks his
readjust
nose.
it, clear it, right, but hits it again and again and again and again. But like is determined to do this thing. So finally figures out a way to get around and through. But as we also know in architecture on the show, for some reason, all the doors have those raised lips on the
Oh,
bottom.
yes.
So when he goes to try to go through the door, he can't see it. He trips and falls through the door. But the way that everything was set up on the soundstage, it wasn't just like him falling into a hallway. He fell down like a sloping corridor. So they listened to him like ping pong ball style bounce off this wall as he fell and down. He said, and the guy filming said it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. Everybody was laughing. They couldn't. No one could help themselves. And so after that, it was just like they just staged them wherever they needed to be. No one had to walk
Yeah.
anymore
Right.
with those. You take the helmet off, you walk to where you got to go, put the helmet on, you do your scene.
Right.
So, but yeah, yeah, you can't see in the Breen helmet. So
Right.
there you go. Well, I think that will wrap us up here for this episode. We went a little bit longer than I expected, to be honest, but good stuff. Good stuff here. So we are winding down on our on season 7 here, final series. New Trek news to note: Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, the third season, has officially started. You can catch new episodes every Thursday on Paramount Plus. So if you're interested at all, excuse me, check it out. I have enjoyed the few episodes that have been released of this season so far. So hopefully you will too. There is a merger that is currently happening with CBS, Paramount, and Skydance. What that means for all of the programs that are on the show and or on the network and all new projects, no one really knows yet. Star Trek, the Starfleet Academy show, they have already finished all principal filming. They've actually started to release promos of the show. So if you go to ParamountPlus.com, you can see some of the early promos, early stills from some episodes. And keep in mind that show is set in the 32nd century, so it's way more future flung. Okay, so you can go and watch the trailers, the stills, all that is there. So yeah, I've seen it. Doesn't look bad. I don't know if it's a show that I will watch though. It just struck me as different. Now, I feel like I'm kind of obligated to, because there's yet to be a Star Trek product that I have not consumed on some level, but we'll see. With the Skydance merger and some other things, there's also been a talk that after the Starfleet Academy show ends, there may not be any more Trek stuff for a while. So we'll see. Um, Other than that, guys, I think that's going to do it for us on this episode. Thanks for tuning in again. Tune back in next week where we should be at our regular time and we will wrap up these last few episodes. So until next time, take care of yourselves.
Thanks, guys.